The federal government spent tens of billions of dollars on economic life support since the COVID crisis began, with measures like JobKeeper and JobSeeker. Those assistance packages are now winding back, with the promise infrastructure projects will help with critical jobs recovery and economic growth. But even the Reserve Bank's concerned not enough is being spent. So keen eyes will be looking for a big injection of infrastructure spending in next week's budget, far beyond the $100 billion program already promised last year. Rachel Papazzoni reports.
Deep beneath Sydney's streets and famed harbour, work on the New South Wales Government's multi-billion-dollar metro rail project is heading towards its final destination.
This will become the Martin Place station in Australia's biggest infrastructure project. This is the kind of work the federal government is under pressure to reveal in next week's budget.
Last year, the Morrison government announced a $100 billion infrastructure fund over the next decade when it had its eye on bringing the budget back to black. Those surplus aspirations have now evaporated, and the focus now is on job creation and pulling us out of recession via what many predict will be a massive upgrade in infrastructure spending. It's already started drip-feeding the new spending list, last week announcing an upgrade to the NBN.
We are now at a point where we can upgrade because of the methodical work we've done to roll out the network.
It would be incredibly welcome, it would be incredibly meaningful, it will lift productivity, it'll create jobs, but we need to make sure that it is at commercial rates for people to take up.
As with every promise, the devil will be in the detail. Between March and August this year, the federal and state governments announced about $3 billion worth of infrastructure projects to combat the COVID economic crisis. The federal government's contribution for those shovel-ready projects came from the $100 billion infrastructure fund it announced in last year's budget.
Documents obtained by the business under Freedom of Information show RBA liaisons or industry contacts it speaks to are sceptical the projects are as new as the government portrays them. The bank also says the spending announced so far adds a relatively small amount to the pipeline of public infrastructure work yet to be done. Timing is everything when you want to kickstart the economic engine. Economists warn any further infrastructure announcements will need to help straight away.
We don't want projects that are going to take years and years and years to plan, that the jobs need to be created immediately.
That's because the government's support measures for workers are ending. It's already started winding back JobKeeper and split it into full-time and part-time payments. The full-time rate was cut this week and halved for part-time. Another cut is scheduled for the start of next year before it disappears altogether in March.
With the tapering of JobKeeper, that's what's needed. We need to replace that activity now in the next 6 months.
Modelling by Deloitte shows just removing the coronavirus supplement by Christmas could lead to another 145,000 people out of work and a $31 billion hit to the economy.
We're going to need some very significant spending if we're going to see all of that impact offset. I don't think that's what we're going to see.
Nikki Hutley wants the federal government to help the states build more social housing.
Deals with that, keeping people, and particularly tradies, in jobs where they use those skills, but it also has a long-term social benefit as well as that short-term economic hit.
Economists say many small-scale projects have an immediate impact.
Things like painting the town hall, fixing gutters, fixing footpaths, they don't sound much, but over all of the council areas of Australia, if there's an amount of money allocated there, then people in that area will be employed fixing those things.
The clock is ticking on the government.